Okay, so we are with my lovely model Janet, and I am doing a brunette balayage on high formation hair. So this is the finished result, and I will be working with Blonde Studio 9 and 30 volume, and this is the new Blonde Studio with the bonder inside. So we'll start off first, of course, by treating with the Metal Detox Spray. So this pre-treatment spray is amazing. It's super easy to use. And when I'm working with high formation hair, I like to go ahead and brush it and apply the pre-treatment section by section. So you can see that I'm working it through. And I'm gonna go ahead and have my planchette and cotton in hand. And we'll go ahead, and this is the new Blonde Studio 9. And this is with the bonder inside. It is mixed at a 1:2 ratio, which is my preference. And with high formation hair like this, one of the things that I like to do is by brushing it out and really using great tension, I'm able to create a nice smooth surface to get this lightener on. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn her a little bit more. For everyone joining, my name is Min Kim at Min Kim Colorist. I am a L'Oreal professional artist, and we are doing brunette balayage on a high formation hair texture. So this is my lovely model, Janet, and I am creating horizontal light with large pieces. And you can see that with the Blonde Studio 9, it goes on really, really smooth and creamy. And I'm gonna go ahead, and you can see that I am constantly going back to my planchette to make sure I have enough product on the hair. And with this, I'm creating a gradient effect. And with the tension, I'm really able to have a smooth surface to get my product on. So I'm gonna go ahead, add more product to my planchette. So I like to keep the planchette with the well on one side, and this allows me to work neatly and to be able to control my application. I'm gonna go ahead and apply some lightener on the back side of this because I do want to have a little bit of extra pop on her lengths. And you can see that everything is going on really nice and smooth. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some plastic on. I like to use a perforated plastic, which really just allows me to easily rip the pieces away. And this is a semi-enclosed application. And I am going to make sure that her lengths are covered with longer hair. It's one of those things where it's much easier to guarantee that you're gonna get maximum lift. Two things, by covering with the plastic and also by saturating your mid-lengths in the ends. So my next section that I'm taking, my first one I took was diagonal back from the middle of her ear to the middle of her head. So thank you for joining. I'm Min Kim at Min Kim Colorist. I'm working with Blonde Studio 9 with bonder inside. This is the new lightener, super excited. It's oil-based and it's ideal for achieving maximum lift. So my next section that I'm taking, and this is a half head demo. I have the other side pre-done, which I will show you in just a few minutes. But again, I'm taking a diagonal back section, and I'm using the temple as the starting point, and I'm taking a diagonal back to the middle of the back of her head. So I'm gonna go ahead and clip this beautiful hair out of the way. And I would say Janet lives in a formation 5. So with this section, I'm looking at her hair, and it's definitely too large for me to grab. So I'm going to split it in half. And one of the things that I'm gonna do is smooth it out with my hands, spray my Metal Detox lightly over the section. I like to use a boar bristle brush, and this allows me to work through the hair and make sure that I can smooth and create a nice even surface. So the tension is allowing me to paint the surface of the hair. So this is a surface application. I like to float the lightener onto the surface of the hair, and this allows me to make sure that I'm going to get the product on nice and smooth. So I have a saying, which is what you see is what you get. So if your application looks spotty or blotchy, then that is exactly how your outcome will be. So this is a quick full head application. And this is something that you can do to customize a single process. You can certainly do this as a service, which is going to be a really quick way to create lightness. And I am creating a gradient effect. So we're starting with the natural level 4 base. And with the lightener, I'm creating different shades of brunette. So we are calling this Balayage. So we know that the expensive brunette trend was super hot. We are taking it into spring and summer by adding some beautiful lighter pieces. So depending on the toner that you choose, you could have anything from a mocha to a caramel or a hazelnut toffee, and that just depends on the undertone. So once I finish this side panel, I'll show you what the after looks like. But as you can see, I'm really going, and even though I'm working quickly, I am still very soft with my touch. So I'm making sure that I'm saturating, that I can see that the lightener is really on. And once I get to the mid-lengths and the ends, I'm just going to take a little bit of the lightener on my brush, put it on the underside, and flip it onto the planchette. This way I'm able to see the back and use my brush. Again, you could do this with your hands, but I'm able to do this with the brush and planchette. So there's several ways to achieve these beautiful results, which is what I love about balayage. So whether you're a palm painter or a brush and board painter, this really is something that you can customize to make it work for your comfort level and also for your desired result. So again, I'm taking my boar bristle brush, running that through. This is going to help smooth it out. I am going to show you how you can just paint the curls with your hands. So we'll do a little bit of palm painting at the end around the face frame. So I'm just going to work that metal detox through. It's a pre-treatment spray that works with all color lines, and it's so easy to use. Most of my clients are like, Min Kim, when are you going to do the treatment? And I tell them, well, we already did it, but it's so quick and easy that a lot of times they don't even realize that it's happened. So I'll spray the pre-treatment before. On lower formation hair, I tend to use that before I start the service. So I'll do a light mist throughout the entire head. But when I'm working with higher formation hair, like Miss Janet, I like to spray the sections and work it as I'm working. So I'm starting from the bottom. We're doing a half head demo. And this is featuring the new L'Oreal Professionnel Lightener Blonde Studio 9 with bonder inside. So that's right, friends. Our favorite oil lightener that lifts 9 levels is now with bonder. So typically I would probably opt for something that has no ammonia or use a lower developer, but obviously I'm working with a doll head. So I went ahead and chose 30 volume, but I can use 30 volume comfortably on higher formation hair, knowing that we've got the added strength of the bonder inside, and then also we pre-treated with the metal detox. So you can see that we've got nice saturated pieces. There is that gradient effect. So even though we're creating this light that's gonna live in a horizontal fashion, there's plenty of negative space built in. So I'll show you what the after looks like. And this is multiple shades of brunette. So we've got the beautiful brown that starts from our natural level 4. And then we've got a combination of mocha and toffee, which are just making me hungry saying that out loud. But again, this is a nice way to level up your brunette clients as we transition into spring and summer. So mocha is one of my favorite shades, especially in the Dia Light range, and that's a 0.8. And with lighter shades, at a lighter level, the 0.8 is cooler toned. And when you go into our darker levels, it has a more red finish. So depending on your desired results and what your existing undercoat is, that's what I would use to determine which shade I choose. Other really wonderful toners that I love is the 0.13 series. So that's your ash gold. And that really works to neutralize, but still keep the warm tones. So I think that warm tones are making a comeback. And as a brunette, it's something that I'm really excited about. But we love having multiple shades. So having the lighter pieces that we're adding with the new L'Oreal Professionnel Blonde Studio 9 with bonder inside. And you can see that I have taken this from her high recession and I've taken a diagonal back section all the way to the middle of her head. So I'm working with large pieces, and this is going to allow me to complete a full head look very quickly. So again, first thing I'm going to do is just grab my section, spray the metal detox gently onto the hair, and then I'm going to work my boar bristle brush and create a smooth surface just so that I can use tension to do a surface application on the top, and then I am saturating the ends as we go through and do the application on zone 3. So this gives you a lot of freedom and flexibility, but one of the most common questions I get asked all the time is, can you do balayage on curly hair? So yes. The second most popular question I get is, can you get lift on brunette bases? My answer is again, yes. So it just depends on your product choice, but a lot of times it's your application. So if you pay attention to my application, you're going to notice that I am building on the lightener. So there's a fine balance between having really wonderful saturation and then having too much. So you want to make sure that even though it's saturated, you have an even distribution of product throughout the surface of the hair. So once I'm working, I'm making sure that the sections in each zone look good before I move on. You can see I am reloading my planchette several times, and it's because I want to make sure that I get the maximum lift possible. So again, the Blonde Studio 9 is our oil-based 9-level lift lightener. It's gotten the addition of a bonder inside, which is wonderful. And you can see that I am just holding it with firm tension and applying the lightener throughout. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my little bit of glue on my brush. I'm going to stick the ends on the underneath part, and I'm just going to twist my section and lightly bring the lightener up to make sure that the underneath, that those curls have gotten enough product to make sure that we get that beautiful pop on the ends. So zone 3, we saturate on both sides. Zones 1 and 2, we're saturating on the top surface. And you can start to see the shape of the curl come out even with the lightener on, but it is retaining its shape. So it's working with the surface application. I like to work with my Blonde Studio 9 and bonder inside. Again, it's 30 volume. I like to work with a 1-to-2 ratio. So the 1-to-2 ratio really gives me that smooth, creamy consistency that I love, which allows me to float the lightener on. So again, it's really just going on smooth. The brush and the planchette, if you think about it, shouldn't really touch the hair. It's really more about making sure that lightener goes on soft and smooth. So again, I'm going to use my brush to smooth my section, and then I'm pinching it through zones 2 and 3. And this way I'm able to really make sure that I've created the smoothest canvas possible so that I can do the surface application. Okay, so look, a lot of product. I'm using the edge of my brush to control these points. Even though these are wide pieces that I'm painting, I am still making sure that where I start my application, that everything is still soft and feathered. There's nothing square, okay? When you get square lines in balayage, that's when you get that noticeable line of demarcation, and the regrowth isn't as soft as it can be. So again, I'm just working this in. I'm applying my product in a gradient fashion. So this is creating a beach glow vibe for my brunette. So again, this is a brunette balayage, and this really allows me to customize this color service So we've gone ahead and done, this is my third section, and I'm almost done. And when you see the other side that I have pre-done for you, you can see that with this type of application and placement, you're able to get a complete look on a natural level 4 base. So this is something that really works for the majority of us because more people have dark hair than light hair. This is something we know. I'm going to go ahead, put the plastic down. I'll isolate the section on the ends. For those of you tuning in, this is the finished result. And again, this is a Balayage, which has a combination of toffee, caramel, mocha shades. So it just depends on what your undercoat is. So the toner that I used on Miss Janet today is a 9.2. So I lifted her up to an 8 and 9 on the ends and just used that to neutralize. So even though her overall finish is warm, it's still going to have that neutral, beautiful finish. And again, one of the things that I love with Dia Light is that it really does have a resurfacing effect. So the hair is shiny, it has a treatment-like effect, and these are all things that my clients love. So my next section, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm going to isolate this front money piece and just take a diagonal back section from here. Isolate that to the front. This is a high impact way of doing balayage on a dark brunette base. So again, this is one of the ways we can level up our expensive brunette clients. And it's all about customization. So all the things that you can do, and especially when you're working with higher formation hair like Miss Janet, she's a formation 5. This is something where I can really make sure I'm honoring her curls by not over processing her hair. And the added benefit of the bonder is that even when I'm done lifting her to an 8 and a 9, it's not going to disrupt her curl pattern. So these are all things that we want to be mindful of. And I'm just working that metal detox through. You can see that I'm able to smooth the hair so it is getting pinched in my fingers. So I pinch between my thumb and my middle, and I have a saying, pinch it like you would your bratty brother or sister. And this way you can make sure that you have the tension that you need to be able to apply the product onto the surface of the hair. So I'm going to go ahead, work in off that money piece area and really start to saturate that lightener once I go away from the beginning of zone 1. So when we're working on our clients, we have heat coming from the scalp. So we want to make sure that even though we're saturating, we're still having a really feathered approach to our application. So I'm going to go ahead, make sure we're saturated here on the top. I'm going to finish by painting the back side of this. You can see I just pick up the lightener, it lives on the edge of my brush. And the lighter you touch, the more product you apply. So I'm constantly feeding my well on my planchette. You can see I have a nice amount of product in here. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I have enough on my brush and just softly apply. So the softer you are, the more product that you get to apply. I'm going to flip this section and just paint the back side up. And again, this is just to create those lighter pops. And these lighter pops, when I use the 9.2, is what gave us that lighter toffee color on the ends versus the mocha shades that were living where I lifted to a level 8. So the 9.2 Dia Light is at a level 9 with the iridescent. And this really does help to neutralize yellow. So there's a little bit of yellow orange left, and that is really what allows me to have these beautiful brunette shades. So I'll show you one more time for all my friends tuning in. Hi, I'm Min Kim at Min Kim Colorist. I am a Laura professional artist, And this is my Balayage on my lovely friend Janet. So I've gone ahead and I used Blonde Studio 9 with bonder inside and 30 volume. And this is mixed at a 1:2 ratio. I am making sure that our head is not going to fall off the stand. And now that we've gotten this section done, I'm gonna go ahead and just split this in half. And by splitting it in half, I'm just taking it from the top and stacking these curls. And by stacking my placement at the front, it really allows me to build more brightness. And I am looking, someone just asked, is that spray water? No, this is Metal Detox. It is a pre-treatment spray by L'Oreal Professionnel. It works with all color lines, and this basically just gets sprayed onto the hair before any color service. So when I'm working with higher formation hair, I like to spray it on section by section. And this really allows me to have more control. So with Metal Detox, it does give your hair a little bit more grip. So when you're working with higher formation, it makes it easier to manage. So I'm always trying to think of how to make my life easy. And this is one of the things that I have done with higher formation hair. And again, when you're working with curly textures, coily textures, you want to make sure that you're protecting it. The hair is already dry to begin with. So with lightening services, you want to make sure you're doing something that's going to honor those curls. And she has beautiful curls, which I used the Curl Revive spray. And that's the new Curl Expression line that will be launching here in the US in August, I believe. So that was actually sprayed on. It just helped to revive her curls. It did a little twist on some of the top surface curls. And she basically just air dried after I'd brushed her out. I twisted some pieces. And then I refreshed her curls with the Curl Expression. So you'll be hearing more about that in the future. And I am going to finish this panel. You can see that this is a little bit smaller than when I was working on the widest part of her head. So this really allows me to make sure that I can get this application on quickly. So if I was doing this as a whole head application, you could start with 20 volume on the bottom and then switch to 30. And this would be rinsed all at the same time. And again, this is the L'Oreal Professionnel Blonde Studio 9 with bonder inside. And I am just twisting those ends so I could see the underneath. I'm spreading my Blonde Studio 9 with 30 volume onto the ends of zone 3. And then I'm going to go ahead, get more lightener, and make sure that I saturate the top surface to get the maximum lift. So again, this is a really beautiful gradient application. So you can see that the highlights go from the brightest, and then there's a little bit more natural depth built into the mid-lengths and the ends, where it's going to be the brightest. So I'm going to put more plastic here. For all my friends that are tuning in, again, this is Balayage, and she was lifted with Blonde Studio 9 and 30 volume. I mixed it at a 1:2 ratio, and this really does give you a beautiful variety of mocha and toffee shades, depending on what you use for your toner. You can also create shades of caramel, but I used 9.2 on my friend Janet, and she was lifted to an 8 and a 9. So we wanted something that really lived more tone on tone. I didn't want to have her be super, super light, because then the contrast between her natural level 4 and the ends would have been more, a little bit more than what I want. So she wants to have this really beautiful, low maintenance, expensive Balayage, which is going to allow her to live with this in a timeline that works for her. So one of the things that I love about Balayage is that whether it's day 1 or day 365, my clients still get compliments. And that's whether they have straight hair, wavy hair, curly hair. So this is Miss Janet. She's like a Formation 5 dolly head. And she's being very patient. And thank you, Miss Janet, for not falling off the stand. It's happened before, but not today, friends. So let's celebrate that. So again, we sprayed the Metal Detox pre-treatment spray. This is going to help prevent 87% breakage. And if you have metals, well, everyone has metals and minerals in their hair, but especially if you have like well water, this will help to remove all of that. And basically the copper in the water is what reacts with chemicals and causes breakage. So this is going to help to make sure that we are eliminating any of that possibility. So now with this larger piece, I'm painting the section that is closest to the face frame. That again is going to go to the top of zone 1. And then as I work towards the middle and the back, I'm just going to start staggering her application, which is going to give me a gradient effect. So the gradient effect is also what I call beach glow hair. I am an adult surfer. I just learned how to surf, but I did grow up going to the Jersey Shore all the time. I used to ride my bike every single day in the summer. So I am 100% inspired by natural sun-kissed beach glow hair. So now this is the interpretation on my brunette, curly-haired friend, Janet. And she is a Formation 5. And I'm gonna go ahead and put more lightener onto my planchette. Because as you can see, she's got a lot of hair. And I'm putting on a decent amount of product. So again, I'm just feathering everything, making sure that it's really soft, stretching some of these points so it connects closer to the top of zone 1. And then as I'm working down into zones 2 and 3, I'm just gonna continue to add more product. And once again, I'm using the brush. I'm gonna get her so you can see the lengths. I'm using the brush as a glue. I'm gonna stick her ends on here and just twist my piece, paint up the back side, and then flip it back to the front and make sure I saturate. So this is how I'm gonna get the ends to have more pop. So this, I lifted to a 9. And honestly, normally with dolly heads, I'll paint them and let them process for a few days. Shh. But with this one, because I use the Blonde Studio 9 with the monitor inside, I only let her sit for a couple hours, which is really equivalent to like 15 minutes in the salon on human hair. But she lifted beautifully. Her curls are still intact. I'll show you one more time before I finish my last piece. But this is really a quick way to create a full head effect. So you can see that we've got the variation of our natural brown, so we can call that espresso. And then we melt into the mocha flavor. And then we have these beautiful toffee ends. So it's a combination of brunette shades, which I really adore. And I'm gonna finish off her last piece, and we'll go ahead and raise her a little bit. And the last piece, what I'll do is go ahead and just pull on the section, and I'm gonna adjust her so you can see. And again, we're working with the Metal Detox pre-treatment spray. That's this guy. And it's super easy to use. Ready? So you just spray a little bit. My hot tip is when you're working on higher formation hair, like my friend Janet, just spray it on section by section as you're working. It makes the hair much easier to manage. I'm taking my boar bristle brush and I'm just working that through. And this is to make sure that there's no tangles or knots in the hair. And anytime, whether you're working with the low formation, wavy hair, curly hair, when you have tangles and knots on the surface of the hair, that can get caught on the product during your application. So these are all things that we want to avoid because this will make your life easier. What you see is what you get. So you want to make sure that your application goes on really smooth. And this is going to transition from the top where we're creating a beach glow effect. So that's where our espresso color is going to live with the natural level 4. And then by painting the surface for zone 2, and then I saturated the ends of zone 3. So we're gonna get lighter pops this way. So this is a really quick half head application. I am Minkim at Minkim Colorist. This is the new L'Oreal Professionnel Blonde Studio 9 with bonder inside. It is an oil-based powder lightener. It does give you up to 9 levels of lift, and this is going to be your new best friend for when you're trying to achieve all of these beautiful balayage looks. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get more product. Again, you'll notice more is better when you're trying to get maximum lift, especially when you're doing an open air or a semi-enclosed application. You wanna make sure your saturation is on point. A lot of times I hear hairdressers say that something doesn't work when it's really the application. You need to give the product a fighting chance by making sure you have enough applied. That being said, you gotta ride the line of reason where you wanna make sure you're saturating, but it's not like you have clumps of product spilling over, right? And also I think one of the things we can do to raise professional standards is to make sure that we're working neatly and professionally. So we want our results to be beautiful, but we also want our work process to be beautiful. So I love beautiful, healthy hair. That's why I love partnering with L'Oreal Professionnel. And this is the new Blonde Studio 9 with 30 volume that I'm using on my Formation 5 dolly head. And this is creating a balayage look, which is a wonderful way to create a customized experience for all your brunette clients. So again, at the end, I twist my planchette and I'm surface tapping the underneath. And then I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I get some more lightener and saturate those ends. So I will show you. This is the full head application. What did we do? 1, 2, maybe 6 rows. And it's creating a beach glow effect where there's more depth that lives naturally in the back of the head. This is my finished side. And Miss Janet is really loving her new balayage because not only does she have these gorgeous tones living with her natural level 4 base, but she's got the variety of mocha, toffee, and these brighter pops on the end. So again, saturation is your friend. The more you saturate, the better your lift is going to be. Make sure you practice, and I hope to see you guys soon. I have programs coming up at the L'Oreal Professional Academy here in New York and soon coming to California. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining me. It's been a pleasure.